When most people think of juries, they picture criminal trials, murder cases, bank robbers, TV courtroom dramas. But the framers had another battlefield in mind: civic disputes, money, property, contracts, the stuff neighbors and merchants actually fought about every day. The Seventh Amendment doesn't make the same headlines as free speech or the right to bear arms, but it's one of the founders' most important checks on government. Why? Because it says that in America, your everyday disputes get to be decided not by a distant judge loyal to the state, but by a jury of ordinary citizens. Welcome to our republic.
When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political band,
sailors and airmen of the Allied Expeditionary Force.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the founding fathers. Not one small step for man.
Those three hallowed words reverently dictate what you ought to be, what you can be, what you will be.
We pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
In suits at common law, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of a trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of the common law. Seventh Amendment. Two big ideas jump out: jury trials for civil cases over $20, and jury decisions can't just be tossed aside by judges. And why it mattered in 1791 is the colonists had lived under a system where royal judges, handpicked by the crown, could bend outcomes in favor of the government. Juries were often bypassed entirely, especially in cases like custom disputes or property seizures. The founders saw this as tyranny in action. Without juries, the average citizen stood no chance against the government or wealthy elites. The Seventh Amendment made sure civil trials stayed in the hands of his people. So let's break it down. The $20 threshold. Why $20? In 1791, $20 was serious cash. It's the equivalent of hundreds of dollars today. The idea was simple. Small, petty disputes don't need a full jury. Bigger cases did, right? Jury trials preserved, okay? Civil cases involving money, property, or contracts would default to jury trials. It wasn't just tradition. It was a shield against judges who might be biased towards the state or powerful interests. Next part, no re-examining facts. Once a jury made its decision, the facts were locked in. Judges couldn't sweep in and say, "Nah, I think the jury got this one wrong." Appeals could only be made under the same rules that exist in English common law, narrow and rare. Limits and legitimacy, and legacy, not legitimacy, sorry, limits and legacy. The Seventh Amendment only applied to federal courts. States weren't bound by it, though many wrote similar protections into their own constitutions. Over time, the Supreme Court has confirmed that the right doesn't automatically extend to the states through the 14th Amendment, making it one of the few Bill of Rights protections not incorporated. Still, jury trials remain the backbone of American civil justice, from personal injury suits to contract battles. Historical flavor, right? Let's talk a little bit about this. Alexander Hamilton once called juries the very paladin of free government. To him, keeping everyday people in charge of verdicts was the best way to keep judges and politicians honest. As British officials hated colonial juries so much, they often moved cases out of America entirely, shipping them overseas to be heard by courts loyal to the crown. The Seventh Amendment was written as a direct response. No more trials by a government-picked insider. Civil justice belongs to the people. The Seventh Amendment may not be glamorous, but it cemented the idea that ordinary citizens, not judges, not bureaucrats, not elites, are the final word in American courtrooms. It made civil justice a community affair, not a government monopoly. Really appreciate you listening. I know this, again, was a really short one. Some of these amendments are really short. We're not going to go into them deep, right? This is just for you to get a really, really solid foundation understanding. It's important for you, right? That's why the first episode said frequent recurrence to fundamental principles, right? You need to go and study some of this yourself. And I could be wrong in some of these things, right? Like I'm not the arbiter of truth 100%. I'm going to be wrong. That's why it's important for you to go and study it as well. Really appreciate you taking the time to listen. And remember, history is far from boring, especially when $20 in 1791 brought you the right to drag your dispute out of a judge's hands and put it in front of a jury of your peers. One of the quietest and most revolutionary protections in the Bill of Rights. See you next time.